In this episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction to the first episode in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, titled The Northern Star. So let's look into the sky and find that Northern Star and get right into this episode. I thought this was a more than fine episode for Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I've seen a little bit of discourse of people being a little bit disappointed, but this is Daredevil. We have to ease into it. We have to be ready for what's going to come at the end of the season. And I was a big fan of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. I thought, it was a little bit cheesy at times, especially where you're trying to, go into some crossover stuff with Miss Marvel. It is what it is. By the way, this time we're going week by week, okay? TV stuff is back on the Dubcast. We're going week by week. No more of this wait till it all ends, then do a recap. And I'm not recapping shows from a long time ago, unless you want to see my ranks of them on TikTok. That's it. But yeah, what I wanted to say is I thought this was a fine episode. If people are saying it's bad, you need to stop overreacting. I think this was a fine episode, and it set up a lot of things. I think this was kind of one of those episodes that puts you back in the swing of things. You remember where everything's at, and also updates you. I think there was a little bit of a time jump from the end of season 1, and now we're kind of here. We kind of see what everyone's been up to, what their angles will be for this season. And I just read this. We'll have a season 3, so this isn't going to be the end of this story for Daredevil. But we got to see Karen, we got to see obviously Matt, we got to see Kirsten, we got to see Cherry, we got to see Wilson Fisk, we got to see Buck, we got to see Michael. What's his last name? I forget. The guy who plays Tony Soprano, Michael Gandolfini. We got to see everybody. BB Ulrich. I mean, this is kind of just catching up with your cast of characters and maybe some new faces as well that will be introduced as a big part of this season. So I thought this was a fine episode overall. Not gonna be a 5 out of 5. It's a solid 4 out of 5. I think they definitely are trying to go for that gore angle of like, here's Matt's blood and it's ripping in your face and blah blah blah. Which I feel like, to me, the Daredevil show, and maybe it's because I watched it all like baked in college, I don't care that much about the gore. Like it's cool to have a show that has gore because everything's PG now, everything's watered down now, and it's tough to find stuff like this that's true, legit, like gritted out stuff. But there is some stuff I don't like what they're doing with Daredevil's fighting style, which I'll get into, and it's probably more comic book accurate, but whatever. Anyways, those are my overarching thoughts on episode 1. Let's now get into the full review and reaction. Going through my thoughts and reactions throughout the episode. We'll give a favorite character and least favorite character for this episode. So starting it off, we have the BB Ulrich video. Interesting to see her projection on this season, where you have to love Ben Ulrich if you were a fan of Daredevil, and to see his niece kind of take up the mantle, where she's kind of, spoiler for later on in the episode, kind of doing these two fronts. It seems like, or at least I believe, she's running these real videos and the fake videos. So seemingly she's doing everything to please Michael Gandolfini's character, who I'm going to pull the name of right now. So I don't just keep saying Michael Gandolfini. But it seems like she's kind of doing that to serve publicly. But on the backside, she's doing her own sort of work there. Anyways, that was the introduction to the season, which I thought was interesting. But the real introduction to the season is our boy Matt, fully in Daredevil form, in Daredevil suit. And we don't have to wait like last season in season 1, where it took damn near 7 episodes for him to get into the actual Daredevil costume, get back to being Daredevil. Obviously, there was a lot to get to, and the time that's led up until the eventual him getting back to Daredevil. But we're starting off right off the season with him getting right into that Daredevil mode, and he's on a bridge, and I love the shot of the boat passing by in the night, him jumping down onto the boat, and then showing up there, kind of kicking some ass, and then basically fighting these guys to get to find out what's in this ship. Feels like old-fashioned Daredevil, him trying to figure out what's going on with Fisk and his undercover operations. My big gripe with this was, how do these guys have a freaking switch that as soon as they see the devil, which, Daredevil has Matt Aura when they're like, the devil is here, and it's just Matt Murdock. But what kind of switch can you pull to just make the ship go completely lopsided? And I know that ship was carrying lots and lots of cargo and illegal weapons and stuff, but, what are these? Is that what ships can do nowadays? Should I be worried about going on a cruise? a little bit scary there. And then in terms of that, Daniel Blake, that's Michael Gandolfi's character. I was just looking it up the whole time. Anyways, I was a little bit questioning how you can just pull a switch and then your boat's going vertical. And it seems like they were trying to just basically bury it, but it becomes a huge story because you have a ship just sinking or sticking out of the sea completely vertical in the ocean. Like, and it's New York City. Everyone's going to freaking talk about that. So those two guys, the captain and the first mate, will play a major part into the latter half of the episode. We go to Karen, and Karen's doing bag work. She's like an MMA fighter. She's getting ready to fight her for her belt, dude. Give her a championship fight. A little crossover on the Dubcast, UFC stuff. But okay, if, and I know this will happen, so I'm going to have to brace for it. I'm not the biggest Karen Page fan. You know, be it as it may, I'm not, whatever. I'm just not in Karen Page's park fully. I did like her in season 1 of the show, but in the Daredevil show, I almost found her insufferable at times. Regardless, if she is fighting people in this season, which I know is going to happen in this season and the next season, she's going to eventually become like this person. Because everyone in the MCU now can just fight people and become part of the story and not just have to be a cool person on the sidelines. Fine, at least they're building it up. She's doing bag work. Good for her. And I guess she's just fully with Matt. I couldn't remember for the life of me if that was a big thing. I know they showed it in the recap of, oh yeah, he heard her heart beating fast for him. Okay, cool, and stuff like that. But I guess they're just fully together now. Fine. Has this been waiting for 5 seasons to happen? Not really. I like Matt with other girls, but if we have to keep Karen in the show, I'm not going to complain. She's an OG character. Should have killed her, not Foggy. Sorry. But yeah, I guess they're in a relationship together now, which that'll be interesting to see if she's like Elektra, if she's like Nurse Claire, like is she going to try and help out, or is she going to try and, help him with his injuries, or is she going to be turned off by the Daredevil stuff? Meanwhile, one of Matt's former exes is on a freaking, yeah, we'll talk about the Doctor in a bit, but cool. Like, we'll see how these relationship dynamics play out between her and Matt throughout the season. Karen, that is. We flash to a new character who is this kind of classic DC jerk who just looks at the TV, sees the freaking Northern Star sticking out of the ocean. He's like, this is a complete fucking disaster. He's on the phone with somebody. And I like this guy. I have to say, this guy brings, and I say aura too much these days, but he brings kind of an aura to the, I don't know, he's like kind of this goofy character, but when he locks in, like, he can just fuck you up in a conversation. And he seemingly has some high rank. I guess he's with is it the FBI or the CIA? One of those two. And he's seemingly in bed with Fisk, which is an interesting combination there. And then once he gets off that phone call, he's going to put his phone into the drink and start stirring it around. So that was kind of like I feel like Daredevil is a show where, if you're introduced as a main character, you kind of get these big introductions to yourself. And that's one that will be memorable, at least for me, of him stirring his drink with the phone. Curious to see. I'm sure this guy will be a big part of the season moving forward, but curious to see what his role is. And if you haven't been able to tell, I don't know shit about the comic books. I don't know what's coming. I don't know. I'm just coming into the season assuming Wilson Fisk will be the villain once again, and it'll be Fisk versus Matt. I don't know. Last season I was surprised. I didn't know White Tiger was a vigilante. I thought he was a bad guy. Obviously Bullseye in the picture as well. There's a bunch of stuff we have to talk about, but seemingly this guy is a higher power than maybe even Mayor Fisk, and he kind of just, we'll talk about him in a second, but no, we won't talk about him. He basically comes into a room and is like, yeah, shut up, to these like Secretary of State or something, and basically we're meant to believe he has a high power and he's from Washington, D.C. So we go to the sort of, I don't want to call it an imprisonment camp, that, it's a big term to throw out, but it seems like they're holding all these vigilantes in this place where they haven't been able to leave. We saw Frank Castle get out at the end of season 1. Obviously, he's not there anymore. He's got his own TV special to do and be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is going to be a super fun combination to watch him and Tom Holland together on screen. Nonetheless, we have to wait till June for that, and we don't really... I'm not expecting to see Frank Castle in this season just because he has a TV special and Spider-Man coming out, and it's John Bernthal. He's probably got a busy schedule. Just looking at that stuff, and they're also bringing back other certain characters, which... We did get a reference to Jess, pulled something from the manifest, so I guess Jessica Jones is just going to be here, and I don't know, you guys are probably going to kill me if you fell on with my reviews, because I didn't watch any of the Defenders. All I know is that Stick died. Like, kill the best fucking character, I guess. Cool. The fuck, man. Anyways, don't know anything about most of those people on the Defender show. Regardless, we'll talk about that when they come in. So, all these people at the being held captive by Fisk, the quote unquote vigilantes. One of them includes the swordsman Jack Dufresne or Jack Duquesne. I guess he's a big part of this story now. He was in Hawkeye. Don't remember him in Hawkeye. He was the fiance to Kate's mom. I thought didn't he have sus stuff going on? I guess now he's like supposed to be on the good side. He's in an interview room with Dr. Glenn, who has just completely given up on being a psychologist and being fair and being right about anything. She has gone full demon mode. She's got visions of Muse everywhere. People in the TV Time comments, which I always go to after the episode to look at what people are saying, were saying that like they're ready for her crash out. Like, I don't need to see this woman crash out. I didn't like watching this. And she's like, he's this guy, I don't remember much about him, but to watch him like put these honest answers and kind of just not own her, but like be right basically on what to say or like what to do. She's like, no, we got to do it this way. And she's like just gone full Fisk. Obviously, she ended up shooting Muse and killing him in season 1, but like, ugh, I didn't like this out of Dr. Glenn. And she puts that he's being hostile. He's just a very chill guy. Seems like a nice guy to have a conversation with. And she puts all the wrong answers. And later on, she'll also switch answers after getting a call from this other guy who's like this high up ranking. I forget what his position is. There's a lot of characters thrown at us this episode. I will say that it is a little bit hard to follow. Give us more Matt. We don't need all these people, but whatever. Continuing on with this trend, the task force is unbearably awful, where they're looking for the first mate and the captain of that ship, because those are the only two who knew what was on the ship. And one of them's hiding out at this restaurant. They walk in, the task force, like, hey, this is known to be one of his spots. Where are you at? They just sucker punch the lady or like smack her across the face. Like, okay, like that was awful. And I know we're meant to believe these people are awful. I mean, I'm all on board with that. They're terrible. I just couldn't believe it. And then in the alleyway, they're like beating the shit out of people. I don't like these people. I don't like the task force. I think the task force is even worse than Dr. Glenn, and horrible trajectory where it's almost like a civil war of like good guys versus bad guys. Matt's team versus everyone else who's not on Matt's team is under Fisk. Except maybe Daniel Blake. He's kind of cool, but it's crazy out there. And I like the his aide too. She's cool. She like knows what she's talking about, but it doesn't even fucking matter because Fisk is just taking full control of the city as being mayor. Happens. Speaking of Daniel Blake, he's got a new crib, got some sort of deal with Fisk to get this nice place. Fake Knicks hoodie spotted, okay? You're not pulling that one over on me. It's kind of an off-brand Knicks sweater. I don't know, could they not be spotted? Isn't ESPN in bed with the NBA? Like, we can't just get a Knicks sweater. It was just really weird to look at because I couldn't even focus on what was going on. I was like, are they faking a Knicks sweater right now? I was really confused by that. Hoodie, sorry. Confused. I loved the duo of BB and Karen. Karen, obviously, we've seen a lot of her work with Ben Ulrich in the past. So to see her link up with BB, they got to be careful. I also like the scene of, Karen was good in this episode. I like the scene of Karen in the store with the fake wig on, and, she gets the file from, like, the Cheetos bag. Karen was fine this episode. Her and BB together, I think that's going to be a dangerous duo to watch. BB's got this whole media thing going on, and Karen is like a boss lady, So I'm actually really curious to see where that dynamic duo goes. I'm not sure if they were linked together potentially in season 1, but I'm excited to see it moving forward in season 2. Finally, the last scene of the episode we have is Cherry, and Cherry is his door is knocked on by the people in the task force, and they're saying, hey, we heard you're looking about information for the first and second mate on the ship. What are you trying to do there? And he's like, you don't got to worry about old me. I'm just doing whatever, and give me a warrant, and I'm not allowed, I don't have to do anything for you. Cherry, come on, bro, this is dictatorship. They don't have to do shit for you, and this is a fascist state, as they say in the comments of TV Time. They don't have to do anything. They can just do whatever they want with him because it's under Fisk's rule. So they take him, start beating him around a little bit. He's fine. He's a veteran cop. And who's there to save the day? Daredevil. And he's there to pull up, serve some hands. But he starts tweaking, which I don't like as a good sign for Matt. You're facing against 4 task force officers. Like, let's not get defeated because you hear Cherry's heart beating fast. And also, his heart's going to beat fucking way faster if you get the shit beat out of you and was fucking shot in the face, buddy. So that was a tough scene to watch, and Matt's getting nerfed already. Oh, what I was going to say about his fighting, I don't like the nunchuck. Like, I don't like the thing that he, like, let him fight hand to hand. That's the Daredevil we want to see. I don't want to see him use these like tools and shit. Just personal preference there. But yeah, Cherry's about to have a heart attack, seemingly. Matt's like, oh no, I hear them having a heart attack and I can't focus on fighting, which, like, yeah, Matt's compassionate, but like, fight. I don't know. That was a hard scene, and I feel like we're getting nerfed, Matt. Anyways, who's there to save the day? We don't know, but boom, 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 boom. Shot in the face, 4 task officers dead, and a knife thrown perfectly on the point, saying, "You're welcome." And I believe this is Bullseye. There might have even been a bullseye on the knife that I was like, my initial first thought after watching it was like, who is this? Because I wasn't like following along super close. But it's obviously Bullseye, and the friggin' companion podcast starts playing after, which is definitely a complete copy of HBO doing a companion podcast for all their shows. Nonetheless, I'm excited, and looks like Bullseye is going to be helping out Matt, or at least helped out Matt here. Obviously, he's got kind of a checkered past with basically everyone right now, Bullseye, and curious to see what his angle is for this season. So, solid episode 1. Left us with a good, cliffhanger for week 2. We'll be back next week for that. This one, I did post a little bit late. Apologies for that. I am going to try and be more caught up in today's society. I got to start posting these faster because people care right when it comes out. They don't start caring 2 days after it comes out. But expect weekly reviews of Daredevil, Born Again Season 2, and other TV shows coming out soon. We got Survivor 50 rolling right now. House of the Dragon will be back in June. I'm trying to think what else. Stranger Things Tales of 85 is coming out. Beef Season 2 is coming out. So we'll see where I end up covering on some of this stuff. And if you want to see where everything stacks up with what I've been doing on the year, after every month, I sit down and rank those shows on TikTok saying, hey, which season did I like the best of this month? March is going to be a weak month because I've been watching a lot of basketball. But besides that, stay tuned on TikTok, stay tuned on YouTube. We hit 100 subscribers. Really awesome. We're about to do a 100th movie review. The pod's about to turn 2 years old. We're finally starting to break through, figure out what the people want, and I want to give that more back to the people. Oh, my favorite character and least favorite character. Favorite's got to go to Matt. I did like this episode of Karen, and Bullseye is interesting. Like, we didn't even really get to see much of him, but I feel like Matt's got to be the standout, just being a boss. It's just Matt. If there's nothing really from anyone else to stand out, you got to give it to Matt. Least favorite is the lead task force guy. It's between him and Glenn, but he's just a complete piece of shit. And he even gets owned by by Buck when Buck executes the first mate of the ship. So we're going with the task force guy for least favorite there. And that's where we'll leave off Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 1. So stay tuned for more recaps, movie reviews coming out soon. We got John Wick, Chapter 4, very similar vibe to Daredevil almost. Just a lot of blood and gore. Not really as much storytelling, but you know how it is. And then Argo, and then maybe Project Hail Mary in between those, depending on when I go see Project Hail Mary. So stay tuned for more content. We'll see y'all in the next one. And as always, be easy, y'all.